Paranoid chaos ensues when the inhabitants of a quiet New England island encounter a crew of Russian submariners seeking the means to free their vessel after running aground offshore in the 1966 comedy, The Russians Are Coming. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Don't be scared. There's no need to be scared.
I'm not scared.
Good. Good boy. Now, to answer some few questions, very quickly, please, so that there is no necessity whatsoever. So that there is no necessity whatsoever why everybody in such a nice American family should get shot to little pieces. You understand? Yes. Now, what is population of island, please?
Well, there's about 200 people here.
Oh, honey, there's more than that.
Well, not in September. You're thinking of the summer people.
No, in West Village, all the farms.
no,
You forgot to
few
count
people.
the farms. It's much more than the...
No matter, not many people. There is no establishment of U.S. Navy or Army or Coastal Guardians on island. No U.S. of Air Force.
No, there are no bases at Gloucester.
Gloucester. Gloucester, huh?
Gloucester.
Police constabulary. How many members of police department here? 20? 40?
No, there are not that many. Maybe 3 or 4.
Don't tell him anything. He hasn't even tortured you yet.
Pete, please.
Now, listen. No one's going to be tortured.
Madam, once more, I apologize for all of this.
Let him do that. Let him kiss your hand for.
I didn't know what he was going to do.
Could have pulled it away.
I didn't want to make him mad.
You know, the Cold War may be over, at least what there was of it in the 20th century, but, you know, if it was still going on, might offer Pete as a gesture of goodwill, maybe, or just pass him off to the Russians.
I personally absolutely would, but I would also fear that would bring us closer to, again, an international incident.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of character Pete is in the little bit he plays in this movie.
I know, man. It's like I can picture like watching War Games. You remember War Games from the 80s with Matthew Broderick? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So picturing that, but the instigator is Pete instead of like a computer malfunction. That'd bet, there's your rewrite for you.
It's always an annoying kid, specifically a boy, that ruins things for everybody else.
The whole point in the movie is to try and deflate, the kind of us versus them paranoia that was so prevalent during the time.
You've got this, the ridiculousness of this bravado that really does come out through Pete, because like what happens is Pete really does make this situation into a situation where it begins at, because like all he does like for the first 10 minutes of this movie, when the movie starts getting going, is he just antagonizes his father to act. And it's like, yes, this is a comedy movie, yes, this is a of course the plot's got to go forward, but like in a real life situation, you would look at this guy and be like, hey, buddy, think with your head next time and not your son's, whatever is going on over here. Because, like, one thing that you realize kind of like as the movie gets going, it's like, okay, these guys are not trying to cause an incident. Like, it's pretty clear from the get-go. Yes, they do things the wrong way, but it's pretty clear they're trying not to cause an incident. And then it's just like, you got Pete, who's like, are you going to do anything, Dad? If you don't do anything, you're kind of a loser. And you're
that
like,
works,
oh my gosh, kid, shut up. Yeah, that's the fact that it works.
It works on him. And the thing is, because otherwise the dad was being, somewhat reasonable. Even at times the dad is like, he's ready to, it's like, well, they just want to go. They just want to get their boat off. They're stuck. In another movie, I would like to see Pete be like, kid, you're not getting this from your mom. I know you're not getting it from your mom. You're not getting it from me. We're going to start watching who you hang out with. You're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Probably that guy. What's the older guy? And with the hat. What was it? The guy's looked like he was part of World War II or something.
Yeah.
It's like you've been hanging around him. It's like we're gonna pull that plug right now.
And that was another thing I was thinking about as the movie was going on, is how it's like you do have these two kind of catalyst characters, Pete and the old man, who both just kind of like make the situation worse. And like with the old man, I'm like, dude, you fought beside the Russians. Like there's probably some type of, camaraderie there.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I don't know how often the Russians and the Americans crossed lines. I mean, at least at the end, I'm sure they did for a brief period because they were approaching from opposite sides. But there was other kinds of coordination too. It's like, and the people who know, it's not like, the politicians or the man on the street so much, but the people who were actually in the military, I have to believe, it's like they at least have a respect for the Russian soldier, the everyman soldier. That's something that all armed forces kind of have with each other.
Well, anyways, this is The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming, because I don't know if we've actually introduced that yet or not.
That's the thing about the title is for the sake of the podcast, it's good enough just to have once rather than have it twice.
Yeah.
But the actual title is doubled, and it's emphasized that exclamation point too. It's like, just in case you were wondering if this was going to be over the top. Can you imagine the people that were on this town, like in the age of the internet, though? How much worse things would be? That's
the thing is, like, these people, no offense to them, but these people are like the quintessential Facebook people. Where you get these Facebook people, they get riled up about something. They don't think anything really through like they should, and then they act upon it, or they want to act upon it. But, this is exactly what happens. Now, there's really only one incident in this movie where you can sit there and go, yeah, I'd get the Russian people for this. But everything else, in all honesty, you're just kind of like, just help them out. Like, if you help them out, they'll be about their merry way.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But no one, and the problem is you don't really get a lot of conversations between Russians and other people.
No, you don't, actually.
In that regard. But I mean, like, the people that they do talk to, it's just kind of like, you can speak up. But of course, I know, movie has to happen, so
yeah,
bam, here we are.
I do wish there was a little bit more interaction. I think between the two groups, I think they probably kept them apart for the sake of, they do some interesting things with the plot that I don't usually see, even in comedy, is that the initial problem is solved before, in a movie like this, where the problem is something as physical, right? It's a very physical need, right? That they, but it's like that gets solved on its own. But they introduce a new problem as a cause and effect kind of thing because the party went ashore to try to find the means to help to fix the original problem. That's when it's like, and they come into their own problem, they get stranded. I do think that I would have liked to have seen, for the sake of a few more, because there is a dull spot in the middle of this. And you noted this too, it has to do around the people in the town. You can have that for a little while, but it's not the most interesting part of the film. And the more you step away from Alan Arkin's character or the sheriff's character who's played by, what's his name? Brian Keith, Police Chief Maddox. It's like, the moment you get away from them, it becomes much more kind of it's a mad world, but without as much energy and a lot of much cleverness, I guess, if I want to put it that way.
But you have the whole subplot, which is funny in and of itself, but with the man trying to tame the horse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness sakes.
Which is actually a scene in the movie. So I've been coming across this guy on TikTok. I forget his name. It's like Skate or something. Anyways, I'm coming across him, and he does like all these type of film reviews and film things where he says like, what's a scene in the movie that does this or this? And one of the ones recently is like, what's a scene in the movie that does not further the movie at all? You could take the scenes with the man and the horse out of this movie, and the movie wouldn't change one bit.
They keep coming back to it. It's like it's almost like you're trying to use it as a palate cleanser between other scenes. It's like, I didn't need that per se. It's like,
maybe it is one of my issues with the movie is that it doesn't feel like at times it knows exactly what it wants to be. And again, we've kind of talked about this before. You have movies that, yes, they're in the comedy genre, but they're more drama than anything. See, this movie takes a very serious premise, and it's fine that it makes fun of it, but it does take a very serious premise. And there are like a few times where you're like, okay, are you serious movie now? And then like there's like the times where it's like it's very slapstick. Slapstick being the horse, the guy and the horse, the time where Alan Arkin's character and this lady are tied together.
Up, yeah.
And they have to, like, the way that works out. Like, just think about a woman and a man tied up together. Like, the things that happen in that little spot, especially since she's, like, quote unquote, an older woman. Like, but there's that. And then, like, there's a couple of scenes where, like, you do have some, like, action and that action is, is more slapstick.
They get the romance, which is not jokey. It's actually pretty sensitive, and they treat it with a lot of respect. It's not a jokey romance, it's a for real romance between the Russian guy and the young American woman there. I love them. I love them, by the way.
So early on. I do too. I called it so early on in that movie. Like, even before, my wife was sitting near me, and I looked at her and I said, okay, they keep talking about this woman who is not there yet. I was like, it's one or two things. One, she's an old lady. Or two, she's a younger person, and she's going to be the love interest. She's 100% going to be the love interest of Long Tall over there, who's the Russian cadet. And sure enough, you get a scene like later, like not long after that, where you've got this girl riding a bike, and I'm like, okay, that's clearly her. She's the conventionally attractive blonde.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they're totally. And like, it doesn't take very long. They start even playing house during the movie.
And it's like, I do like them as a couple. I have to say that was something that was kind of one of the more endearing parts of the film for me. I felt kind of sad they just didn't kind of figure out a way to let him stay at the end. I was kind of disappointed at that. I thought, because, if he's going to go back with the idea in his head that, I'll just defect later when I'm back in Russia. I'm like, dude, you know how hard that's going to be? It's like, they just don't let people defect, for for just out of the box. It's like, it's not like walking to your grocery store. It's like, now is your chance,
And certainly not a Russian submarine operator.
No. And you're trapped in the boat most of the time.
I'm like, nah, you're going to be a spy, buddy.
He's going to, you know what he's going to have to do? He's going to have to get on the Red October. That's it. He's just going to have to make sure he gets in the Red October.
I did like that budding romance. Like that, again, if they wanted to make that a more focal point of the story, I think it would have worked very well because, like I said, they're taking care of the kid. They really are playing house. Like there's a whole swaths of scenes where it's like him, it's her, and the little kid. The little kid being, the youngest daughter.
Right.
And it's just like they're taking care of each other. It's like, okay, we see what you're doing.
Yeah. It's kind of a scattershot film. It runs on a little bit long, and we'll get to that at the end. But the things one of the other things I like most, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, was, I love Alan Arkin's, his submariner character, the Russian submariner guy. He's not the captain, but he's, even from the beginning, and he's like arguing with his captain over where they're at and what they're doing. And it's like he was proved right because they ran aground, right? It was like, it's like, and he's just he's totally put upon guy. He feels like, oh man, I can't believe I got saddled with this captain and this crew. I can't believe I got saddled with this situation. I just want everyone to cooperate with me. Our lives are on the line. It's up to me now, and it's like, and he's doing the best he can to keep it together. And just that sense of put uponness that he does. I don't have as much of a repertoire with Brian Keith, although I do like him in this. I just like Brian Keith trying to talk sense into people. And maybe that's because it's like in a situation like this, you're desperate for someone to talk sense to people. And those two characters, they're always trying to talk sense to people. And so it's like, and so you do have someone to root for. And I felt them, they did a good job at their roles, and I really get into their corner too.
I don't think comedies need to be a very long movie.
No,
like
I agree.
That's kind of what I've come down to in life. Is like most comedies, they don't need to be very long. And if you're going to go all in on comedy, go all in on it. Like, and that's one of my big takeaways from this. It's just like we've seen so many movies now, and I want to make this very clear. I don't dislike this movie. In fact, I've got I feel like a pretty decent review for it.
Oh yeah, you got pretty high there.
But like, we have a lot of movies that we've come across now I think this is like, episode 99?
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of movies that we've come across that, that we're sitting there going, pick a lane, like figure out what you want to be. And it's kind of surprising to me because, and maybe we're the ones that are wrong. But like, it's surprising me because this movie is like, it's nominated for some big awards, and I'm watching it and I'm going, what is this? Like, what is it trying to be? Is it trying to be comedy? Is it trying to be a drama? Or is it trying to be a dramedy? Which maybe it is. It leans into action at times, but it's still slapstick type of action. And then we've got the whole romance aspect, which there's nothing wrong with having like your hands in multiple bowls here. But again, like that's what makes the movie so frustrating at times. It's like, you're trying to have your hand in multiple pots, and at the same time, it's like you're doing too much. Like you don't have to do this much with it. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't hate it, and I don't want to get to my review yet, quite yet. But I didn't hate it. But like that was the frustrating part of watching the movie. It was like, and that and Pete. I'm not joking when I say that character really did get on my nerves.
You were team hit Pete.
Yeah, I was absolutely team hit Pete because like I don't like it when people do that with characters. I'm not a fan of insufferable characters. And at the beginning, I was like, he's fine. And then, like, just every time he started doing more and more, I was like, oh, my goodness, we've actually just put all of the annoying, nagging character into this one child. And he's just so... I'm not going to rethink it because I've already given it this, but, like, if I was to sit here a lot longer, I could probably go down on my feelings for this movie just because, like, the kid annoys me and, like, the movie doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah. And I will say it does at least end on a high note. I do like that they do end it. They come back to the message and the moral, which is they have the kid, one of the kids, not Pete, because if it was Pete, no one would care. The town would say, "Let him fall." But it's like, yeah, you because it's a different kid, and both the Russian submariners and the Americans come together to try and save the kid, and it brings it together on a very kind of a very kind of hopeful note, and at least it does that for me. So the ending was good. I will say, like you said, it doesn't have to be, 2.5 hours or so long. I forget what it is. It does stretch it past its limit. There's only like one comedy. I was thinking about when you were talking about how comedies need to be short. And it's like I can only think of one because there's always one exception that proves the rule. And the one that we watched was It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. That's a super long comedy.
Yeah.
But it kind of works. It gets away with it. I don't know how many, and we even talked in that episode. It's like, I don't think you could make these anymore, and have it work at this length at least. And so, yeah, in generally speaking, 2 hours is probably more than enough. Even an hour and a half is ideal for most movies like this. If you took out like the excess, the guy trying to, tame his horse, and some of the other things like I didn't like them following the woman holding a sign in the sidecar of a motorcycle, riding around and having adventures, quote unquote, and it backfires and causes people to panic, stuff like that. The scene in the bar. First of all, why are they opening up a bar in the middle of a panic? It seems like a bad idea to combine these elements. Like, you know what this situation needs? Alcohol. I know they did it for humor, but it's like it is funny to see in a way. But some of the side stuff that they come up with is a little redundant. So I would just want to see more of the things that do work and that work really well. Because, like I said, slapstick is slapstick, and you can get slapstick if you want to. But it should be, in this movie, kind of a case more of an accent. It shouldn't fill up whole chunks of the film.
Or come out the gate. You could watch the first 10 minutes of this film and sit there and think, without knowing anything else, like just seeing the beginning of the movie, you could possibly come out and think, this is about to be like an action thriller.
An action comedy, at least.
No, I think you could make an argument that there's an action thriller built into this movie. Because all you have for a little bit is the conversations with the family. Like, I've seen movies that start similar. I'm not saying it should be a thriller. I want to make that very clear.
No.
But like, at the very beginning, when they're coming up on shore, when they're invading this island, which they do when they're sneaking around the family home, and like all that's happening in there is like there's a conversation between the characters inside. Like, if you didn't know anything about this movie, you could predict it's going to go a bunch of different ways. And I think a lot more people would think it's going to be like an action thriller type movie where all of a sudden they're getting attacked and like the father the father and the mother become like heroes of all of this as they beat back the first round. But like you don't know yet. Like, it slowly becomes that. It slowly becomes what it's going to be. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like the very beginning has like so many things, and like if you're gonna be slapstick, I would come out the gate being slapstick. And this movie does not do that. At least in my opinion, it doesn't do that.
You could take the same premise easy and make it into something serious. I'm not saying, like you said, not saying they should do that. I can't think of anything else to add to that. So, verdicts, man?
I think the story is well enough. For those of you that have been listening to me, you might come across as like, wow, you seem like you are really down on this movie. Actually, I think there's a lot good of this movie. The end lesson, in my opinion, is a very good end lesson. There is some really good acting in this movie. Alan Arkin is amazing.
Yeah, he is.
The sheriff is also amazing. Like, yes, Pete, the child, is annoying, but again, the kid does a good job. I'm not going to fault the kid for that, but the kid does a good job with the material is given. There's this like sweet little love story that's happening between, one of our Russian sailors and also their maid lady, which is it's really cute in and of itself. There is some fun comedy throughout the movie that it will make you laugh and everything. It really is a good movie that's kind of a testament to the human spirit and what kindness really does look like at the end of the day. And so, I actually think, this is I can see why it was given award status. I can see why it was given high honors and praises. It's not a fortune and glory for me by any stretch, but it does really exist in a belongs to the museum or trust me type of situation. I would probably give it a little bit less of a trust me and more of a belongs to the museum, but I think I'll be nice. I'll be generous with this movie and still give it that more of a trust me rating than anything. So I think it's a fun watch on a Saturday where you got nothing else going on.
I don't understand the reward at getting all the awards kind of a thing, the accolades, unless it was for the message, because times are tense in the Cold War and they felt like it needed to be rewarded because of the message. I don't know. But for me, at least, it doesn't quite rise to the level of award worthy. That said, it's a lot of fun for all the reasons you said. I don't have anything to add to what you said about what's good and what's not. It's more like a solid trust me on it. It wasn't as much of a hard call for me. I agree with you on Pete. Pete is terrible. This is probably one of the pitfalls of reading the other guy's review beforehand. It made it look like it was like, oh man, Pete's going to be all throughout this thing. I'm going to hate Pete. And I did hate Pete, to be fair. But he was in less in the movie than I was expecting. So it became less of a downside for me. In any case, yeah, I'm at a solid trust me. That's where I'm at with this. So at this time, Ryan and I like to remind our listeners out there that if you're having a good time with us and, dusting off these old movies in search of celluloid treasure, please do like and subscribe, comment, and of course, follow us in your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong and clue us in on a few titles you'd like us to see cover on future episodes, as long as they're available for free on Tubi or other streaming platform, because this adventure comes with no strings attached. And future episodes, Ryan, we got one coming up, and we're going to the 20s for this one, so get ready for some silent film action. Go ahead and tell the folks what it's about.
Tubi says this: after losing his life's work and his wife, a man joins the circus as a clown whose gag is that he is humiliatingly slapped in the face by others. This stars Lon Chaney, Norma Shearer, John Gilbert, Ruth King. There might be someone else in this movie, and we'll talk about that during the review. And it's directed by Victor Seastrom. Next week's film is titled He Who Gets Slapped.
It's certainly not what I would have expected, I'll say that, going into it. But that's all I'll say for now. So in any case, that's all we got for this week, folks. I almost forgot to tell you guys. This is our 100th episode. And no, we're not doing a special for that episode, although we will have a special coming up that's kind of a mix of both 100th episode special plus the 2-year anniversary, because it kind of lines up a little bit. So we're going to have that coming up, and we're already ginning up ideas on what to do to have some fun with you guys. So anyway, that's all there is for this end. I guess, Ryan, I'll see you next week. Folks out there, we'll see you next week. And
see you next week.
Bye-bye, folks.
Just great. I thought all the nuts went home after Labor Day.